Okay folks, this is something interesting, and even though it's a little bit boring, I can hear the cicadas out there in the distance. Well, they're quite close. They're very noisy, folks. But America has them as well when they have their summer. Interesting. Interesting creatures. They spend most of their lives on the ground, and then they only last for I think it's a couple of weeks when they are above ground and they have to mate, and that's their mating call. They're such beautiful little creatures, such desirable little things, so adorable. Okay, let's see what we have. We have here an Officeworks Docket. So I bought something from them recently and I'm interested in that. Mainly this. I don't know about the barcode, but I'm interested mainly in that student related thing. So just trying to see if I can find where it is. If I can just see through the docket, see through it, I can just see the barcode. I think the barcode's going to be left out, folks. We're just going to have the little schoolies, the little picture of the schoolies. I hated school, folks. I never liked it. I was always bullied and teased. I never could see the end of that. So I don't have any really good memories. Oh, I have good memories of certain things to do with school, but I never enjoyed my social life. Now that looks really quite interesting. But I really just didn't get along with the other kids. I really had a hard time dealing with all this teasing and bullying shit that just was never ending. It was really that horrible to having to deal with that. And I didn't do anything wrong. I know I'm eccentric. I'm an eccentric, folks. I think that's why they did it. They didn't like my eccentricity. I am a little bit odd and offbeat to certain types of people, and school is not a good place for eccentric people. It chews them up and spits them out, and it's not nice. So it's not a place for anyone apart from an average or normal person. It just seems to favour the mundane and boring and conventional and things that other kids are into. It doesn't embrace differences or an interest in. It just alienates and hurts. It hurts people, folks. School is a horrible place. I still wouldn't want to go back there as an adult. Definitely not. If I'm going to, I'm hoping that there'll be technology to fix the brain damage I had at birth. And I'm hoping they'll have technology. And one of the things I'd like to do is go back to school and sit my HSC, or maybe study. I have problems with my memory, and that was probably another teasing point. And basically, I need to, I'm hoping they'll have the technology to fix the brain damage, and I'll be able to study, so my memory won't be a problem anymore. And I'll be able to go back and study probably from an early start at school. And I'll study and eventually get my HSC, and then enroll in uni. And I want to become a CEO of a future photocopier company. And I want to make the photocopier company one that's good for the planet and good for humanity. And good for, instead of being a place where, I'm going to make this into a movement piece. So I want to make the world a better place, and I want the photocopier industry to change. And I'd like to be the change that I want to see. I'm not going to let other people, I'm not going to wait around for someone else to do it. It's on my fucking shoulders, folks. And I want to build photocopiers that are user-friendly, a real pleasure to use, ones that are good for the environment, good for the workers who build them in the factories. You know, no slave labour, no made in China. It'll be made down under in Australia, designed and made and owned by Australia. It's going to be an Australian company. No offshoring. Oh yes, we might get workers to come down who if they become Australian citizens, they can work in our factories, they can work in wherever they pretty well would like their career to be. And we want them to become Australian citizens, and then they can just be treated fairly and equally, and they're not going to be made to work like fucking slaves, you know, like you're not going to turn the Chinese workers into slaves, even though they probably are so used to it. Not all of them, but some of them are. Being exploited, having their wages really low. It's not fair. It's not Australian to do that, folks. It's got to be a company that upholds the best of Australian values. And we've got to build these equipments mainly from recycled materials, you know, from rubbish tips around the world, including in China and India, where heaps of e-waste gets put. Lots of e-waste goes to those countries, and it's really a shame, because these machines that we have nowadays are not designed to last. They're designed to break, and after about 5 years, they're no longer able to be serviced. That's how they've worked it. And the industry should not be like that, folks. It's got to change. We've got to change our ways to help our planet, to save our fucking planet, folks. You know, we've got to save this planet. We can't just live in it and destroy it like we have. We can't, folks. We can't. We can't. And we can't. And as I said, slave labour, we can't work people to death. We can't work them when they're tired and when they can't live. That's not fucking fair. That's not Australian, folks. It's not fucking Australian. We want to be fair dinkum and make sure that everything is done to the book of goodness, the best of what Australia is, the fair country. So, you know, we've got to do something, folks. The planet is dying. And one of the things I'd like to be a philanthropist, and I want to give most of my money away as a CEO to helping our fucking planet, like the Great Barrier Reef, to helping humanity, to feed the hungry, to make sure they have sanitation, to make sure they're educated and have work. I want to do the work that heaps of rich people don't care about or don't want to do. I want to be the stopgap. It would be good if other people could follow as my example, my future example. But I'm not going to wait for that day. I'm just going to do my thing. I'm going to do what I can do to make the world a better place, to make Australia more Australian, in the fair go. You know the old fair go, folks? No strings attached. Except to do the right thing. That's pretty much the strings attached. To make the world a better place. Yeah. Now let's see how we go with this. But yeah, we'll try to clean up the rubbish tips of the world, use them as resources to build our photocopiers. So even though that's probably the only foreign stuff we're going to use. We're not going to use technology. We're not going to offshore anything. The only thing that's going to come from overseas are some of the workers, and if I remember correctly, some of the raw materials to aid in cleaning up the e-waste tips of the world, as I said. So we've got to make a difference, folks. We've got to do something. We've got to be passionate about something, and we've got to make it count. And I'm passionate about photocopiers, and Luigi is as well. And I can't get this stuff happening until I get in touch with Luigi. And I need the news channels to put this stuff up on the 6 o'clock news, folks. Anyway, that's come up looking quite interesting. I think now we can call this demo quits.